Hey, welcome to Crafty Music Tips. In this video, I'm going to show you 10 ways to enjoy practicing scales more.
Should we get on with it?
Yes, I am using the guitar here, but scales can be played on a bunch of different instruments and sung. So look, don't think that this is only guitar related.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
All right, so here we go. Here's number one on the list. It's playing the scales in small groups. So like, for instance, you could go up in twos. Or threes. Or fours. And no, you can't do five. Yeah, all right, I guess you can.
Yeah, that's five.
And so on, and so on, and so on.
Okay, so second on our list here is playing in patterns. So for instance, you could skip a note of the scale and then go back and play that note. I'll show you what I mean. So instead of so I'm skipping this one, playing that one, and then going back, playing that note, but then skipping one again, going back, playing the one I skipped, and then skipping the next note. Another pattern could be that you play through a bunch of chord notes that are the chord that is associated with the scale, of course, and then you go through and you play the ones that you skipped. So for instance, this is a C major chord and the major scale is that. So what are the chord notes? It would be a C major arpeggio. And then you're like, all right, well, what are the notes that I skipped? This one, and then that one. Okay, third on our list here is trying out different rhythms. So for instance, the obvious one is crotchets. 2, 3, 4. Or quavers. Or semiquavers. 2, 3, 4. Or triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4. And while we're still on rhythms, they don't always have to be even amounts of rhythms. It could be like da 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 da. Okay, fourth on the list is speed races. Giving yourself a race for how fast you can go. Figure out what the BPM that you can play a full scale up and down, and then race yourself. All right, and fifth on our list is playing through the cycle of fifths. Is that a coincidence? Could be the cycle of fourths. If you're not too sure what the cycle of fourths or fifths are, well then check it out. These are all the different notes that you go through. So basically, if I play the major scale, I'll start in C, and then the next will be F, then B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G, C. Now, so that's going through in fourths, but you could also go in fifths. Fifths is just going through in fourths, but backwards.
Backward man to backward man.
Now, if you're watching this noticing that I'm only using a major scale for these examples, well then, yes, you're going to enjoy the fact that this sixth way of enjoying practicing scales more is learning some different scales. Don't always just do your practice on one type of scale. So I've just been playing through the major scale. What about the minor pentatonic? Or the very close companion to that, the blues scale, minor blues. Maybe it's a minor or harmonic minor. Or maybe a major pentatonic. Now, it doesn't really matter what the scale is, but the point is that you should change it up. And if you feel like you're a bit light on, well, try learning some different scales just to be able to broaden your horizons and be able to get extra sounds.
You know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this.
So once you do have a few different types of scales up your sleeve, well then number 7 on our list will really work well for you. It's ascending with one scale and then descending with another scale. So why don't I go minor pentatonic ascending and major pentatonic descending. Or maybe major scale ascending and blues scale descending. Now, earlier I did say that a bunch of these tips could be applied to many different instruments, and that's pretty much true. This particular one is probably more guitar bass orientated, but look, see how you go. So it's incorporating 5 different left-hand techniques. The first left-hand technique is hammer-ons. So with a minor pentatonic scale, if I hammer on all those notes, it'll sound like this. The hammer-on being that you're playing one note and you're hammering on the other note without picking it. And so the opposite of that is a pull-off. This is the second technique. And the third is sliding. Now, the fourth left-hand technique is going to be pretty hard to try and be able to execute on an acoustic guitar, but I'll give it a go. Bending. So I won't be able to do all of the notes, but so for instance, from there to there, you could, and there to there, there to there, or there to there. And the last technique is vibrato. There's 2 different ways to vibrato. Little slides, like I'm doing now, or little bends. Now, once you get familiar with all of those, you can try just mixing them up. All right, our second to last on this list is making up riffs or melodies. So for instance, if I was in the blues scale, there's my little riff, or it could be a melody. So I'll try that in a major scale, I guess. All right, so that brings us to the lucky last on our list here of our 10 ways to enjoy practicing scales more. And so just experimenting is something that once you go through all of the different tips that, you know, have kind of been laid out for you really clearly, like if you're experimenting, then you'll come up with a few ways that nobody else has come up with before. And then that can breed into many awesome things for you and your music.
Well, it is a night for experimenting.
So for instance, why not just try and make up your own scale? So like, for instance, you could play a major scale and maybe add in a couple of notes, or maybe take away one, or maybe just change one note. You know, whatever it is that you're doing, if you're experimenting, well, then the possibilities are endless.
There's no limit to what we can imagine.
So there you have it. Was that a helpful tip for you? If it was, let me know in the comments below. And if it made you think, ooh, I might like to get my hands on some more tips, well, I'll let you know about a thing. It's called the Crafty Guitar Club. Basically, it's just a chance to get access to me and also get the chance to hang out with a bunch of other like-minded guitarists. So if that sounds like something enticing to you, I'll leave a link below. Go check out the info for it, and hopefully we'll see you inside the Crafty Guitar Club. And also, I'll hopefully see you in another crafty music tips video here on YouTube really soon. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope it's rocking, and whatever musical choice you need to make in your life, make the healthy one.